Hello, ladies and gentlemen. You are once again welcome to the King Dems Podcast. And today I've got with me all the way from the United States of America, a power slap athlete. I've got with me Rayden, the animal bombardier. How are you, brother?
Let's let's
Whoa,
go, man.
whoa,
Let's go.
whoa. Let's go, man. Whoa, power slap. Let's see.
Thank you
You
for having me
represent
on.
it. Let's see the power slap jersey.
Let's go. Let's
Whoa,
go. I
power
got
slap.
I got my power. I got everything, man. I even got my blood rag from the fight, man. It still got blood on it.
Whoa,
Figured I'd pull it out.
whoa. God of lightning and the animal. Those are two powerful monikers. How did you come up with those? And how do they reflect, your persona inside and outside competition?
So I was born with the name Raiden, and my father loved the game Mortal Kombat. And rest in peace to my
Oh,
father. He loved Mortal
RIP.
Kombat. He named me after his favorite character, and who knew that I was gonna end up being a professional MMA fighter, a professional power slap fighter. Everybody just kind of started calling me the God of Lightning, and Power Slap, and people started making fan art, and it was really cool. And me being the animal, I was given the name the animal when I was rolling jujitsu. And it was just because I was relentless. I had so much pressure, and at the time, I was a white belt, and I was grappling black belts, and I was doing pretty well for myself. It took them a couple
Wow.
minutes took me out. So they called me the animal. And, the reason why I feel like that name sticks to me too, to my heart, I always wanted to change my nickname. People started calling me the California Kid, the God of Lightning. But the animal is just who I am on that stage. When I start walking down, when I start going like this, I can't lie to myself. Like, that's not me. That's like an animal. That's a beast. That's something coming down there to defend their cub. You know what I mean?
Wow. That's quite intense, right? That's quite intense. And there's something with names, right? Once people start to call you a particular name, it just happens psychologically that you would live up to that name.
Yeah.
But so do you think personally, like when you reflect, do you think you live up to that to
Oh, for sure. I mean, even when I watch back my fights, I'm just like, wow. Like, like I know I'm that person, but it's like it's crazy, like that's literally me. Like a lot of people on that stage are acting, and sometimes it doesn't come off authentic. And
yes.
like for me, I'm coming off like I'm literally going there to defend my child. I'm going there. At the time I didn't have a home. If I lost this
Whoa.
match, I'm not gonna be able to come back to anything. You know what I mean? I came here to change my life. So literally it's do or die. It's kill or be killed. So I put it all on the line.
Kill or be killed. Self-preservation is the first law of the jungle, right? And of course, the animals rule the jungle.
You
So,
know how they say it's fight or flight, and I've never been one to run from a fight. I'll lose the fight before I back down from one.
okay. Speaking of fight or flight, there is actually something in between, right? Because I think it's psychologically related. I think that's like a human's response to fear. Yeah, in psychology, I did do it in some psychological course. So they say there's fight, there's flight, and then there's freeze. So when faced with fear, some people freeze,
Yeah, man.
some people fight, some people take flight. But you, what is your natural response
My
when you're
natural
faced with
response
fear?
for sure, just to fight, you know what I mean? As a young kid, I was always kind of the person that would, I never really ran from things. I kind of like maybe I was just didn't maybe I just didn't see what was in front of me and how dangerous things were, but I was
Hmm.
always the person that would walk towards crazy things. And like I remember, living back in a really, horrible place, and just seeing all these people walking down the street to jump us, and just to beat me and my friends up, and a huge group of people. And I was walking towards them like I didn't care, like I was ready to fight all of them. And all my friends were looking at me like I'm crazy. And, I just never been that guy to back down. I'm literally a warrior
Hmm.
in my head. Like,
So
I'm a gunslinger. We get up there and we trade shots, bro. I'm a gunslinger. There's not a thing that I'm scared of, for sure. There's the only thing that I'm scared of is anything negative that happens to my family, and
mm,
nothing nothing physical. Like, I'm very content with everything. In a way, it sounds crazy, but I'm prepared to die in a sense every time I walk up on that stage, literally.
hmm, prepared to die. I'm going to hold that thought for some minutes, right? That's something I wanted to ask you. I don't want to forget to ask you. The animal, right? We have the plant kingdom and we have the animal kingdom. So, in the animal kingdom, what animal would you say specifically would you probably say is your spirit animal, or what animal would you say aligns the most with your personality? Have you ever given it a thought?
I like the idea of a bear. I like bears, man. They're real family orientated. They're real vicious around their cubs. You know what I mean? And I think they're like one of the fastest, biggest land animals ever. They can climb trees, they can swim, they can fish. They're smart, man. If anything, I'm a bear, bro. Every time I come up on that stage, I'm just fucking roaring. I'm a grizzly, you know what I mean?
Sounds more like, guys into American football, they say bigger, stronger, faster.
Well, so what was that?
I said it sounds like, what the guys in American football like to say, bigger, stronger, faster.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure.
Wow. So that you would say a bear is your spirit animal, and I think I do agree with what you said, given the personality traits, right, that you have picked up from the beer. Now, you spoke about, being ready to die, when you get on that stage. This morning did see something from an ex MMA and ex boxer. He is the real deal. I'm trying to remember his full name,
Ro-
right?
Robert
Ryan.
Trujillo.
No, that is Ryan Ford.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. There's
Yeah,
another guy named Real Deal.
yeah, Ryan Ford, Ryan the real deal Ford. He was on this podcast some months ago. He's a Canadian boxer and MMA guy. He has his own gym and like has this generation of fighters that he's building. A lot of his guys are in the BKFC currently. So he was talking about somebody that died, I think, in after a fight. I don't know if it was MMA or boxing or something. I have not really gotten into the full details. So it's crazy how fighters put their lives on the line, right? To what I say, entertain the fans, right? And a lot of times the fans do not even appreciate it. The fans take it for granted. But these are human beings. I saw something from Hamza Chimaev. He said when he knocked out Ikram Aliskerov, right? He called his mom and was like celebrated. I knocked him out, and his mom was crying. I was like, "Mommy, why are you crying? I won." His mom was like, "I feel for his mother. The guy has a mom too." Right? Fighters have loved ones. Fighters have family, right? You are big on family. Fighters have people that love them, and it's crazy when you see this kind of sad and tragic events happen, right? But what would you say people should look out for, right? personally in terms of, the fight game. The fight game is brutal, but some people probably put their health on the line, ignore health, signals, health warnings, and try to, be stubborn to still go into competition. Like, what would you, touch on that? Because you have mentioned earlier that, you have that warrior mentality, right? But then there's a thin line between a warrior mentality and being unnecessarily stubborn, right?
Yeah.
So
No,
I'd like for you to touch on that.
so when I say that, I'm prepared to die every time I walk up on that stage, there's certain things that motivate people when they're about to go into a competition or when they're about to do something big in their life. And for me, every time I walk down on that stage, I come down, I point at my hands. That was real natural. I never thought about that before. I never knew I had like a signature walkout, but that was my why. When I walk on that stage, I'm just so prepared to fight for my son. Things flash through my head of just my kid and just like, I would do anything for him. And every time I walk on that stage, I just picture him asking me like, "Would you go to war for me, Dad?" And I would go to war for him for against anybody. Nobody could ever stop me from fighting however big it's gotta be, however dangerous it's gotta be for my son. Even if there's like something bad that's about to happen to me, like I would do it for him if I knew it was gonna better his life. You don't want to be stubborn and hurt yourself, and then you're not able to help him, forever. But
Hmm.
it's like when I walk on that stage, I just think, nothing is gonna stop me from giving this to my son. Because at the end of the day, this is a job and we're making money for our family. And I've been able to provide a home for myself, which is really cool. But there's so much more I need to do. This is just like the very beginning. And I, obviously I don't want to die on that stage. I plan on winning every single match that I do. I just, you have to recognize that there is a chance that you might get really hurt. And
Exactly. You need to embrace that possibility.
I know that for sure. And so I turn that idea up and I'm ready to put it all on the line, man, every single time. I mean it. When I say like I'm ready to die on that stage, like I will not leave that stage unless I'm completely asleep or something. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I I'm a fucking beast, bro. And even if I was say knocked out or whatever, which is never gonna happen, you know, and I would stand up and want to keep fighting them. You know what I mean? I never really touched on this, but after my last match, I took a loss, right, against Joshua Newson. He's going to be fighting at Power Slap 10. They called the count off. I've never complained. Fair game. Fair game. All fair in love and war. But they called the count off at 5, and I didn't agree with Jason Herzog's decision. I think if it was another ref, they would have kept letting it go. But I think other people would have been asleep. You know what I mean? I got people's minds that are going through names that are going through my mind that I don't want to throw out. Other middleweights get hit by that guy that same way, they're going completely asleep, unconscious forever. He's gonna probably end up fucking fighting for a title one day. You know what I mean? And I will too. But I didn't even like I showed up to that show as a welterweight. The guy that I was supposed to fight, he failed a drug test, so they pushed me up a weight class. I'm a
Oh.
dog. I'm not going home. I'm fighting whoever the fuck. You know what I mean? I didn't have a home
Oh.
to go back to.
Oh.
You know,
I know Dana White likes people like you, that never say no to opportunities.
literally, they were like, "Well, that guy's out. We don't have nobody for you to fight. You want to fight middleweight?" And I'm a dog, bro. I throw my mouthpiece in, and I go out there and I go to war with that same energy, regardless of the size or whoever it is. And like I said, though, I think other refs would have let that fight play out. That was my first time getting knocked down in 12 years of my career.
Whoa.
and they called it off as a TKO, and I was standing, you know what I mean? But my thing is, other people would be asleep, okay? And respect to that guy, because me and him have never liked each other. I still don't like you, but I respect you as a competitor, and I will work very hard to see you on that stage again one day, Josh.
Wow. What a call out to Josh. Josh, be aware. Whoa. It's really, really intense, power slap. But like what really inspired you, coming from your professional mixed martial arts background, right? So what inspired you to become a professional slap fighter, and like what has the journey been like for you so far?
So, like in the beginning of my journey, I was living in my car, and it was interesting. I went and fought in front of like a couple thousand people in front of the Staples Center pretty much. It's called the LA Convention Center. It's a big thing over here. So I was really proud to and it was, like I just had my son, so I was super motivated. But like I fought in front of those people, and then like, later in that night I'm like sleeping on the floor somewhere. You know what I mean? And like it's tough because you tell people that they chase their dreams, but it's so hard. Like when you chase your dreams, you're gonna find really depressing states, times where you feel like, possibly taking your life. There's times where, you know, people are just giving you so much shit, and it's like you just have to stay true to yourself and stay on that path and keep treading along this tunnel that's dark, but you're like on a railroad, so you're fine. You just got to keep going. A lot of people don't push hard enough, and then you finally see the light at the end of the tunnel, and you're like, wow, this is crazy. Like, I just stuck with it for years, and I finally got there. Like, so for me, like I said, I was living in my car, and it was like a month or two after. I didn't know too much about Power Slap, sleeping in my car. I had all my windows closed up and stuff, and I got a text message from UFC producer Joey Varner. He said, "Hey man, I seen your videos. I think you're a beast. I'd love for you to be on our reality TV show. Are you interested?" And of course, I jumped on that opportunity right away. I said, I'm living in my car. I didn't have to lie for shit. I told them I needed this. I want it. This is my life story. I represent
Mm,
California. This is who I am. And they put me right
California
into the
kid.
house. There was
Wow.
600,000 applicants, and I'd never
Wow.
even signed up. They just found me. I never signed up. They just found me through videos and I it's really awesome. I never, like I said, I never watched Power Slap, but it's such a huge sport. We're about to sell the company for $1 billion after 22 months of being around.
Wow.
So just
Wow. Dina White is such a genius. Dina White is always going on and on about, how Power Slap is doing really big numbers, really good numbers, how Power Slap is going to, gain acceptance, despite, a lot of mainstream negative, comments and negative perspective about Power Slap, right? But I think he's really, really doing a great job with making it get more acceptance. But in terms of his leadership, right, and his personality, do you even have any relationship sort of with Dana White? Let's start from there. And what do you think about his leadership?
Yeah, I think anybody that got past the first round kind of has some type of relationship with all the, like producers and Dana White. Um, I didn't really get a chance to talk in too much depth, but I was talking to him on the stage. If you watch all the episodes, he's there watching all the fights. I was looking down, yelling at him a bunch. So it was cool because when I fought Neil Thomason, there was a lot of yelling going on, and like I said, I don't plan shit. I just go up there, and that's just what happens. I didn't know I was gonna start yelling at him. I knew I was an intense guy when I was doing my MMA and Muay Thai fights. You know what I mean? But I didn't know how it was gonna translate to power slap. And I guess it was very entertaining. So just being up there screaming and looking down at Dana White while I'm in a fight. And power slap's a different sport. It's not like
It's not MMA.
you know basketball or some shit like that. Like you get a smack, and then there's like a timer that goes off, and it's like you gotta wait a second, and then it's their turn to smack, and then the timer goes off, and you wait a second, and it's like in between those times. You're either recovering, you're talking shit, or you're talking to your coach. And I'm like a mixture of talking to my coach and talking shit. You know what I mean?
It's
It's
crazy.
it's gnarly there. I didn't hear a goddamn thing. I didn't hear a thing that Robert Trujillo said, honestly. And I love Robert Trujillo. Shout out to my coach. Like, so much respect for anybody that's been in any of my corners while I'm fighting. Like, that's so much love. You know what I mean? That's like, you guys are going to war with me. You guys have my back. In a sense, we're a team. So I really appreciate Rob. I really appreciate Austin Turpin. And I really appreciate the Crazy Hawaiian because I got a chance to be on all of their teams. I got switched
Oh,
around when that guy failed his drug test, and I started winning and stuff like that. So I started getting put around different places.
interesting stuff. But being a fighter and being a model is quite a unique, combination, right? So how do you balance that aggression and, composure? Being a
Well,
fighter and being a model, you are a fighter, you are a
oh
model as well.
yeah,
So how do you balance aggression and composure?
yo, a big shout out to Active Pair. Yes, I am a model. It's crazy to say now, but honestly, it's pretty easy because in there's power slap and model Rayden, right? That the public sees, and then there's Rayden over here that's just like living his own life, and Rayden over here is a bouncer at a nightclub. He's also a full-time T-Mobile representative and a father, so like I stay very clean, I stay fresh. Like after I get done with this interview, I'm gonna shave my head and get ready for the day, and all I gotta do is go to work and look charming, you know what I mean, and get lots of tips. I got tipped like $500 the other day at this nightclub. It was
Whoa,
crazy. It was pretty
whoa.
sick. It was more than 500 actually. It was like 550. But like you know, every area of my life, I painted it the way that I wanted it, you know? And
Hmm.
and right now, that's the direction I wanted to take. I wanted to get more into acting. I wanted to start modeling. I wanted to get into pro wrestling, you know. I still want to do, MMA as well on top of power slap. I wear so many different hats, man. I think everything is about balance. For me in my life, I think the most important thing that makes me feel wholesome is being able to balance, like if there was a pie chart and everything was balanced, distributed equally. You know what I mean? Like I got my work time, I got my time with my son, and I got whatever else that I need to take care of and stuff.
Okay, that's cool. In life, it's always good to achieve balance, right? And balance is what keeps us at equilibrium as human beings and keeps us going. And of course, to live a well-rounded life, you need to find a way to achieve balance. I'm always curious about what it takes to train for power slap because I have trained taekwondo before, so I understand what it takes to train the traditional martial arts, right? And something I like about the traditional martial arts is the fact that both participants, right, have the opportunity to utilize attack and defense at will and at the same time, right? But when Power Slap, came out, I love the UFC a lot. I'm an MMA nerd, right? I've had some guys from the UFC, from Bellator, from Cage Warriors, name it, any major MMA promotion in the world. I've had them on my my podcast. I do predictions, analysis, for reviews for MMA. So you can call me an elite level analyst of the sport. But when it comes to power slap, it's quite new. I was hesitant in accepting it. I was like, oh, Dana is pushing this in. I admire, respect, and love Dana White a lot. But it was hard for me to take it in, like, why? How? But I think lately I have started to accept it, even to the extent that I have guys from Power Slap on my own podcast. You get it? So,
That same feeling that you're feeling was the same feeling that people thought about the UFC in the beginning, you know?
yes,
And, to see how big it is now after so many years, and then for Power Slap to be as big as it is after just 22 months, you know what I mean?
it's wild.
It's gonna be a household thing. Just remember that people are like, kids are being born every day, you know what I mean? And these things are gonna be regular to them as they start growing up, you know? And like for my son, he's 1 years old, so when he starts growing up, he's just gonna think, oh yeah, power slap, like that's a normal thing. You know what I mean? It's not. It's new. It's just really big. You know, it's so big. It's actually unheard of, honestly. Something that has grown from 0 followers to, I mean, you've seen the numbers. You know what I mean? The numbers don't
Numbers are
lie.
out. Numbers don't
Numbers
lie. And
don't
speaking of
lie.
numbers, I'm a numbers guy. So my background is in finance. I'm a chartered accountant, what you guys call a CPA in the US. So that is actually my original training. So, and of course, in university, I studied economics. So, like, I've always been around numbers, for quite some time in my life. So, I like to tell my stories in numbers, and I like to make assessments, make decisions, make analysis, right, with numbers. So, in terms of the numbers that Power Slap is pulling, I think I am actually not just convinced, I am impressed. I'm impressed with the numbers. The numbers are massive
Yeah, and
for
like I said, I didn't really like I knew how big it was going into it, but like, I'm one of those guys that I'm a normal guy, man, honestly. So like for people to want to view my stuff, like I have close to 55 to 100 million views on all my videos. You know what I mean? Posted on Dana White's page, posted throughout Power Slap, with all the episodes that I was on. You know what I mean? Like I've been broadcasted to such a huge audience, like
it
this to
gives
the
you
size of the U.S.
massive visibility.
And it's like I'm forever grateful that I was able to show my life story, and I had some $1 billion company behind me, advertising me, and we still got more fights coming. You know what I mean? I'm going to Las Vegas, got my hotels ready. I'm gonna go to the UFC Apex and the PI. I'm gonna keep cutting weight. A lot of people don't know, but I'm cutting weight right now to go to Power Slap 10, and Power Slap 10's coming
Let
up in
us
just a couple
go.
days. So I don't have a fight officially, but I'm showing up on weight, and I guarantee you I'm trading harder than most of the people on the card. Respect to everybody on the card, though. I'm not trying to throw shade at anybody, but I'm working my ass off. I'm working 16-hour days over here. Not every day, but I'm about to work a 16-hour day. I also fucking train 2 hours most of the time after that. I'm a father too. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I am focused, man. Anybody in my position would be unfocused, and I am anything but. I am dialed in. So Power
Hmm.
Slap 10, December 6th, December 5th, I'll be there on weight. I'm ready to go. Frank, Erica, Dana, whoever's watching, please, I'm ready to go. Any fights fall out, throw me in. Me versus Stevie, me versus anybody, man. It don't even matter at this point. This isn't a vacation. I'm coming to Vegas for cash and blood.
You coming to Vegas as a possible replacement fighter, but then I hope you show up and show out. It's time. So, speaking of, the training, I like, what kind of training do you guys do to prepare for slap fighting? For you put us through the training regimen, right? I was gonna say something. I'm from Nigeria, right? That's Africa. So way back home, growing up, if you mess up, if you sleep up, your parents, your guardians, your teachers, the elderly ones, typically, the default correction is the default punishment typically is to just maybe slap the person. And then I was teasing the others like power fight guy. Is that enough preparation, to be a slap fighter? There were cases where, I just got slapped, when I was younger, and I feel like blanking out. So for some slaps, you wouldn't even hear anything, and for some slaps, you will hear a continuous buzzing sound, like
You know what a lot of people don't think about is when they're like, man, like, what does it take to go up on that stage? But it's they don't let anybody go over there. You have to go through like get through all these medical testing, and people are like scared for some of us, but it's like we're like our bodies work different than just like average humans. You know what I mean? Because most of us are already, professional athletes beforehand.
yeah.
Like I've seen so many people go into that show and got, pushed off because of medicals, whatever was
Oh,
wrong with them. If they took that slap, maybe they would have just like got hurt real bad. It's probably better that they got pulled out of the show.
maybe I would have been pulled out of the show then.
I mean, there was people that I just didn't. I thought that was gonna be able to make the show, but people just started getting pulled left and right. It's like there was 600,000 applicants, and they sent a bunch
Oh.
of people to the hotel, right? And out of all those 600,000 applicants, they probably sent like I don't know, I don't know how many people, maybe like 100 people to the hotel or something like that. And out of those 100 people, they only pulled 30 people out of that. And then out of those 30 people, they only pulled the two teams out of that, and then those other, you know what I mean? Then they split up all those people. I got picked to go into the house right off the bat. You know what I mean? So, I had some destiny was in my favor. I knew things were gonna go out my way.
Many are called, but few are chosen.
I was working for it, man. You can pray for everything as much as you want, but if you're not working for it, you know what I mean? Prayers aren't gonna work.
When preparation meets opportunity, then success comes out of
I've
it.
been saying this recently. If you're working every single look, opportunities come once in a while, right? Big ones. And if you're working every day, you're never going to miss it. So,
Mm,
get to work.
mm. That's a very, very vital. That's a very good word of advice from you there. So it's really key. The listeners, everybody watching us should actually take that, very, very seriously. Because I have been in situations myself, wherein I cash in on some opportunities or cash out or some opportunities that I never saw coming. But because I had been doing certain things all my life, like it just made me prepared. So sometimes you really don't know what, the hard work that you put in, right, is going to help you to achieve. But then it's good to always, put in that work. So I appreciate that from you. So in terms of like the physical trainings, do you guys do cardio, strength and conditioning? Like how do you get into that peak physical state of performance in order to be able to absorb the slaps, and also in order to be able to optimize the impact of your own slaps?
Yeah, so as far as the conditioning and training goes, I think a lot of people are trying to go to the gym and train certain muscle groups. You know what I mean? And just like focus on cutting weight and focusing on the muscle groups that they use in their technique. Another big thing, and I never had to worry about this, so I don't have to worry too much about it, is when trying not to flinch. You're getting hit with a pool noodle sometimes as part of your training, and just keep like we're professional athletes. We have to keep our body in top physical condition. If you're over
Mm-hmm.
there slacking off, eating pizza, barely training, you know what I mean? You got like a little bit of training, and I'm talking about for the other power slap fighters out there. Not like anybody else, but Like, if you're not living the life of a professional athlete, then you're not going to be a professional athlete because you're not working hard as one. You were given an opportunity to do something great. And, some of them lost, some of us won, some of us won and lost. You know what I mean? And we're going to get a call back. And you better be working towards those opportunities because this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. We were not even religious, but we were blessed with that. And when I say I'm not religious, I'm on a little journey myself right now. I'm interested. I'm interested in God, and I've never been religious whatsoever. But, just one thing to think about. 1 year ago, I was homeless, and nobody
Oh.
believed in me. And, you know, I didn't have my son, or he was just born, and it was tough, man. I was thinking about taking my life, and it was really hard, man.
Hmm.
One day I just, it was my last day at a hotel before I started living in my car. And I got on my knees and I prayed and I said, God, I never prayed before, but, if you help me out right now, maybe maybe you're real. Things don't happen instantly, but, like a couple weeks to a month later, I was already sleeping in my car. And who knew that a week or a month later, I would be going to Las Vegas, living in the Fighters Hotel, being on top of the hotel, looking down at the Las Vegas Sphere, being brought to this mansion, into this TV show to be broadcasted to millions. I had no idea. I was just living inside this crazy moment, and I'm just so grateful for it. And my son just turned 1 year old, and I have a home, and I got food on my plate and I'm going on a vacation in a sense soon. And, I'm just so grateful. I never thought my life would turn out like this.
Wow.
So thank you, Power Slap.
Wow. And thank you, God. Wow.
Yeah.
It is. So I like to tell people this, right? I am a very, very strong believer in God. I put God first in, everything that I do. God is really, really important to me. But I tell people this. It's hard to make people believe in God. I can't force you to believe in God, right? Because it is hard to believe in God if you have not been on a personal experience, right? Wherein you need God to show up for you and you call on God and he shows up for you. So if you've never had that personal experience, it's really hard for you to believe.
And, seeing all these things happen to my life, and I try to look at it from an outside perspective too, and being like, wow, that's crazy. And then just going through life doing honestly, I'm about just being the best person I can be every single day. And if I'm getting 1% better every single day, then great. And I got so much momentum right now, you know, I got no time for negativity. I'm doing everything right. And when my son was turned 1 years old and he was born, when you become a parent, it's just it changes your life and your perspective. And
There's a
I,
sweet.
I'm I probably would have never thought about religion too much if I didn't have a kid, but I'm so grateful just to, like, not everybody's born with two eyes. Not everybody's born with, two legs. Not everybody can see. Not everybody can hear. And I have all the above. It's weird, like, I'm a person that appreciates these things as somebody that's not religious, and it's really
Mhm,
weird that
mhm.
I'm one of these people that I go to like these charity events, and like I help feed the homeless people, or I want to help kids, and I do these events and people are like, God bless you, and all kinds of things, and I'm just like not a very religious person. And it's just you know, maybe it's just because things haven't been so kind to me throughout my life, and I just never nobody pushed the idea on me or whatnot. But I'm interested, and I think maybe I would take my son to a church and sit there and just let my mind wander, you know, and let his mind wander, and just see what happens, because I am interested, but I need to believe it in my whole heart, and I'm not there yet, but I'm reaching towards that idea because I'm very grateful, and I see these things. Life's up and down, man. Like when I said, when you get through that dark tunnel and you're like on a train,
Hmm.
well, it might be bright, right, when you get out, but there might be another tunnel. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So
And
so
when the
you
going
just
gets tough, the tough get going.
yes, exactly, man.
Hmm.
But you know how they say, when you're at rock bottom, the only way you can go is up. So,
Yes.
I'm shooting up like a rocket right now.
Wow, wow, fantastic. And of course, I'm really happy for you. And I am also happy that you're very grateful, because I am very, very, very big on gratitude. I'm very big on gratitude. My personal philosophy is gratitude is good attitude, right? So once you're grateful, it helps you to lead a better life. It helps you to uh lead a positive outlook on life, and having a positive outlook, having a positive attitude actually just helps you to live life, in a better way, regardless of whatever your conditions, your situations, or resources that you have. It just helps you to live life better. So,
It's like every day now, it's like any problems that I run into, it's like not a big problem, because like I was just sleeping in my car not too long ago.
mhm,
You know what I mean? When you're able to do something like what I did with Power Slap, or like a lot of us did at this season, a lot of us have been working towards a dream like that our whole life, you
mm,
know? So to take that pressure off of your shoulders, it's so freeing. It's like now I can focus on other parts of my life, and I have. And now I'm very content. I don't really even want anything, man. I just want to be happy.
mm, I love that. Happiness, the pursuit of happiness. 'Cause they say money's not everything, but I like to say yes, that is true. But make money before you say it.
Yeah, of course.
You have to earn money before you earn the right to say money is not
Oh, and I
everything.
wanted I wanted to touch on this because we spoke on this earlier.
Hmm.
I will be coming to London.
Wow, fantastic.
Shout out to all my people in London. Shout out to Darren Godfrey Jr., who just got an amazing knockout in Power Slap in Abu Dhabi recently. He's a savage. We got to get him on here. He's amazing. I'm telling you,
Okay.
we'll get him on here, bro. He's
We
awesome,
should we
and he's
should do
from he's
that.
from London.
Wow,
Big
shout out,
shout out
bro.
to my friend
To the London
Regan.
bloke.
His name's also Deed. I play video games with him all the time, man. He's been a friend of mine for more than half a decade.
Wow.
Religiously been playing video games with me for since I was a lot younger, and just for him to see me, my everything get good and blow up, and I know he's proud of me. And so the reason why I'm coming to London is because Power Slap just got accepted by your guys' state commission. So
Wow.
Power Slap is now legally able to go to the UK or to England and put on an event. And they just did it recently. If you guys look at the past couple months, they just did it. So they're probably going to put on an event in London at some point. 2025 is going to be huge. So I'm hoping to see us out there in London, and I'd love to be out there for it. If I'm not on the card, I'll definitely want to be there. You know what I mean?
Definitely, you should be here. Of course,
And they're gonna have a lot of UK talent too.
yeah,
Darren Godfrey
you.
Jr. is the only guy from the UK, as far as I know,
Wow.
that's in Power Slap, and he's a badass, bro. He's a bare knuckle boxer. He's in my weight class, and he's a beast, man. He's probably gonna be fighting for the title eventually. Like I said, we'll get him on here, man. I got some connections. I just call him.
Interesting. Nice one, nice one. I appreciate. And of course, speaking of UK talent, UK's got really, really great fighting talent. I was at Cage Warriors 180 event. I think that's probably like 2 weeks ago. Yes, 2 weeks ago. I think that was November, yeah, 15th thereabout. It was at the Auto Arena, so I was at the mezzanine in VIP,
Yeah.
looking directly at the cage. I was impressed with the level of talent that were on the card. And it's not just in terms of the striking and wrestling, it's mostly the grappling, the jiu-jitsu. I think there were about 10 fights on the card, and there were probably about four submission victories on the night. The
And I just want to bring something up. When you see those guys, I don't know, I wonder how much they're getting paid. And, sometimes maybe not all those fighters on that card are going to get an opportunity
mm,
one day. You know what I mean? Maybe that was the highest that their career is going to peak. But Power Slap is a new sport, right? So it gives opportunities for people like that you see in there. Hey, there's an opportunity to put your name out there and to
mm,
market yourself with a huge monster of a machine of a company and to do something really cool. And then you can go back and go do whatever you want. And then guess what? Now you're signed with Bellator, or now you're signed with the UFC, or because you're already with the UFC. You know what I mean? So I want to push other mixed martial artists that are, that want to make money, that want to change their lives. You guys should really think about joining Power Slap. If you guys go to powerslapcasting.com, you guys can literally sign up. If you guys are already fighting, you guys should think about it. There's a chance to change your life. You get to tell your life story, and you get to try a new sport. So jump on it quickly before, they don't just start taking, you know what I mean? They might just start
yeah,
taking experienced slap fighters eventually. Who knows what it's going to take to get in, Of
yeah.
course, I was already fighting beforehand, and I was selected for reasons. But what the fuck? No, just kidding. But anybody that no comment. But yeah, man, this is giving people opportunities that they wouldn't have had beforehand.
I like the sound of that, and that's actually true. The pioneers, usually have the easiest, pathway into any new movement, and once it starts becoming more established, the pathway to entry becomes more difficult. So I think people should consider joining Power Slap seriously, and it doesn't stop you from going back to your MMA career as well. But then that visibility, the marketing machine, is really really powerful.
It's just you're there to market yourself the best that you can, and it's honestly a smart idea in my opinion because you're getting your like the way that I've been broadcasted out there, the way that my life has been able to my story was told. There's not many people that get that chance. You know what I mean?
Mm,
You might be in the UFC, right? But they're not going to play anything about your life. You
mhm.
know what I mean? Unless you're really high up there. And a lot of people don't make it that high. I'm just being honest.
So
There's other options now.
that is true. That is very true. But I was going to ask you about your own personal journey, right? Like, what would you say has been the most inspiring part of your journey? Yeah, I know you've mentioned it on the spot already, how you had hit rock bottom, how you were sleeping in your car, the opportunity came. But if you were to just, try to inspire these guys watching us on YouTube today with your story, tell us something and, encourage people that never to give up on themselves.
You know, I grew up watching professional wrestling as a young kid, WWE, and I was never like a really cool kid or anything. I was very overweight. I didn't have a lot of friends. I for some reason at the time I wasn't very hygienic. You know what I mean? I just didn't fit in. You know what I mean? And a lot of kids picked on me. At one point in my life, I got backed into a corner at school and beaten with hockey sticks. And that sounds intense and crazy, but for real, I started fighting them back, and I'm the one that got in trouble. You know what I mean? And it's messed up because kids are mean, man. but you can't pay attention to
Yes.
anybody else, honestly. You just gotta pay attention to yourself, and hopefully you guys can get that as young as you can. And like I said, I was not really cool. I didn't have a lot of things going for me, but you know what? It doesn't matter. Like, as long as you're happy being yourself. And I was close to 300 pounds, and
Hmm.
I was in and out of juvenile hall. Like I said, I was homeless. When I was younger, like 14, 15, 16, I couldn't even like comprehend the idea of myself owning a car. Like, that just wasn't like in my cards, because it wasn't in anybody else's cards around me. And they say you are who your friends are, so be careful who you're friends with. Just believe in yourself. And you don't need anybody else to believe in you. Just believe in yourself and go after your dreams. And it might take a long time, but go after it. If you want to be a ball player, if you want to be a dentist, if you want to, help get your family, to your country, anything, anything that you want to do, you can do it. It just takes time. And like I said earlier, if you're working every day, you'll never miss the opportunity that comes.
Hmm. Wow. Interesting. You were 300 pounds. Just to give my people a perspective, Americans, you guys don't use the metric system. 300 pounds is about 136 kilograms. That is massive. That's a heavyweight. Whoa. And for you to be from heavyweight down to middleweight to welterweight.
That's a super heavyweight. And now, I spoke on it before, but I was supposed to fight at welterweight. So after
That's a
getting these two
transformation.
matches in at middleweight, now I'm going down back to welterweight. I fought two huge guys. They were, way bigger than me. So I think going down a weight class and fighting some people that are smaller, I'm a beast, bro. I look at these people like some meals. You know what I mean? They look like Cheez-Its, cookies. I'm about to eat that shit up, bro.
You're about to get a meal deal.
I can't wait to eat them slaps, man. They're gonna feel like mosquitoes, brother.
Whoa, whoa. What would you say is your most memorable slap fight?
Definitely the one with Neil Thomason. And shout out to Neil Thomason. He's an amazing human being.
Okay. But then why does that fight stand out for you?
Well, we went all 3 rounds, so it was as long as it could go. We really got to, how they say ring experience, like how they say octagon time sometimes for
Mhm,
fighters. Like, this guy has the most
mhm,
octagon time or whatever.
mhm.
I was able to experience like a full match, and I was able to display my chin, my
Hmm.
heart. I was able to basically introduce myself to the world as a fighter, and it was amazing. And I think I captured a lot of hearts that day. And especially after I won, I threw my hands up and I'm like, I'm not homeless anymore. I went into that show with financial goals, and after that first fight I had already blown him out of the water. And so, like, going into a second fight, I was like, wow, like, I have everything to gain here and nothing to lose. So that fight with Neil secured my home. It secured me to it changed my life.
Hmm. Wow. Now I get it. I get it. When you get that break, that big break, yeah, you would always remember that big break. You would always
And you
remember it.
know what? That's why and I just want to put it out there like this. Like, I am so grateful for Neil taking that fight on short notice. If he didn't take that fight, I wouldn't have been able to, show myself. And he's a beast. He's a very religious person. He is very family orientated. He doesn't really have that fighter vibe, but he's a very nice guy. And just being there on that stage, he is not the one to, how we're talking about fight, flight, or freeze. He's not running away. I know that for sure. And I'm just really grateful to share that stage with him, because he's a really great person. And yeah, man, just I'm so grateful for you, Neil. Thank you for sharing the stage with me. Like, I want to hang out with you, man. Sometimes we text a little bit. Hopefully, I can see you at a Power Slap event. We both don't drink at all, so maybe we can go, catch a cup of coffee, or I don't know. We'll do something, man. Actually, I had a really awesome idea, and Neil actually agreed with me on this. So this is my fight rag from when I fought Neil. I showed it to you earlier. It's got some blood on it from myself. I'm not sure where. Not too much, because but I still got some blood on it. But I do donation events every single time that I do a fight, and I'd love to have him sign it, and I'd love to sign it, and I'd love
Are you gonna
to
auction
auction
it?
it off and see who we can help. There's people in need. There's kids that need there's kids that have cancer. There's kids that need help, man. There's kids that need shoes. There's and what is this to me? This is this is cool, but what's even cooler is helping other people.
Mm, yes, that is a fantastic mindset to have, and it's good to be human and humane. I really appreciate that. So for you, how do you now?
I'm 24.
24, and you have achieved a lot, right? But what keeps you motivated to keep pushing forward?
Every single day I see my son, and that's all the motivation I ever need. And just going through life, I'm enjoying myself now, so just I'm enjoying just getting stuff done, And I kind of just I live the life that I want, and I painted it the way that I wanted it. So like my schedule, my works, my like even like right now, and I'm not even saying anything like I'm still down to keep talking, because I actually you're really cool, but it's like I have not like a job, but like I can just push it back, you know what I mean? Like I don't even it's not even a big deal, you know what I mean? Like I
Wow.
this
It's-
benefits. I'd like to talk to you more than to just go over there, because like I'm at that point where I really don't have to, and they know I don't have to.
Whoa,
So it's
whoa.
like, I'll
It's like,
just be there a little bit later. Because why? Because, I was doing something, something important to me.
wow. It feels good to be in control of your own time.
Yeah, for sure.
It feels good to be there. So the fight game is physical, but it is also highly mental, right? So how do you take care of that mental part?
The pie chart that I was telling you about.
Hmm.
And if you have that pie chart and you're equally balanced, then everything feels great.
Mm.
I just make sure that everything's good with my son, everything's good with work. I got money coming in, my lady's happy and stuff like that. Just yeah, man.
Happy wife,
As
happy
long
life.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Honestly, shout out to my girlfriend. I don't know if any of y'all can hear her snoring in the background. She's an angel, but she snores like a demon. I'm telling y'all. I met her when I came back from Power Slap, and she don't speak a lick of English, bro. But she's amazing. You know what I mean? She just came to this country. She's from Mexico. I'm
Wow.
Mexican too, of course. You know what I
Viva
mean? So
Mexico.
just yeah, man. Just being able to grow with somebody and see them be in a new country. And I'm so proud of this chick. Big shout out to Carla, man, because she's only been here for a year and she already has her own place. And I got my own place, and it's good to be around somebody that works very hard, and you can actually be like proud of them, you know what I mean, for real. Like it's not easy to do, to come into
Wow.
a new country and to get your own home, and
And
to,
pave a
you
way
know
for
what I
yourself.
mean? Her
Yeah.
life changed completely just like mine, and she jumped into it at the right time.
Yes. Wow. Like it's really, really inspiring. And like when you're with an individual who has got, the right mindset and is also hardworking, putting in that work, it sort of motivates you more, like iron sharpens iron, you know. It's good to have, great
Yeah,
company.
and you know what? She keeps me real honest, like there's been times where, and it's good to have a partner that keeps you honest and in check, because as cool as people might think I am, whatnot, like I'm not perfect, you know what I mean? Nobody's perfect.
Well, you have
So
to be
so
held
she
accountable.
Right. She holds me accountable for, being cleanly and like, making sure that I'm going to work and not slacking, making sure that, she supports me on my nutritional stuff and in my training and every time I go to Las Vegas, she's very easy and stuff. She's like, Papi's going to work, so you know what I mean? So I'm just I'm very grateful to have somebody that benefits me. There's a lot of people out there that are living in a relationship that they hate. You know what I mean? And it sucks. Or like they're letting the other person like control their life, and it's like you gotta like focus on yourself, and they gotta focus on their selves, and we can share that together. You know what I mean? Because sometimes just you know, you get with somebody and then you just kind of stick with them eventually, that might not have been super healthy for you. You know what I mean? Maybe you're like slacking off of your dreams, or maybe you're not working as hard. It's really good to find somebody that really benefits you. And I don't mean to say it like it's got to be beneficial for you. It's like you find somebody that benefits you in every way possible that you can, that you think's awesome, and then you give them that much love back the same way. You know
Yeah,
what
it's a
I mean?
synergy. It's a synergy, both parties, lifting each other. And
You
that's
can't have somebody sitting there telling you that you shouldn't do this, or you I don't believe in your dreams, that, or because I've been in a relationship before where people didn't believe in me. You know what I mean? And I just had a kid with them and stuff, and I was just living at their house with them, and I had my own place, and they told me I could live with them, and it's crazy. Like they want you to go flip burgers. I think it's easier to go to a 9 to 5 job that sucks every day than to follow your dreams. You know what I mean? It takes a real fucking human, a hard human, to go out there and follow your dreams and do the things that you actually want to do that's in your head. It's easy to go to your job 9 to 5 every single day. What's not easy is working towards a career and a dream and goals that will change your life forever. And a lot of people don't have that mindset. So get you a partner that holds you accountable and that will benefit your life and that doesn't bring negativity to you, because at the end of the day you're going to be spending your time with that person, and you want your time to be filled with peace and love and happiness and smiles. You don't want, arguments or any negative weird things every day. I've been blessed with her, so it's real cool.
wow. This is fantastic stuff. I'm happy for you. And speaking of being with a partner that doesn't discourage you from chasing your dreams, I can very very much relate to that. Let me share something interesting with you. So when I was about to start this podcast, I was dating a girl who told me, no, why should you start a podcast? She tried to discourage me from starting, and then I knew you're not the right one. I would never, ever be with anyone who would stop me from chasing my dreams. She was more into, oh, like focus more on your 9 to 5. If you ever want to do a podcast, try to do it for the company that you work for. I'm like, okay, now I see. You feel like I shouldn't own my own platform. I shouldn't, explore my own gifts. It's a gift that God gave me, right? And if I don't utilize this gift to create a platform and, impact the lives of people, I am accountable and responsible to my God, right? For not using what He has given me. And somebody told me something, at some point, that it's not necessarily because she's a bad person, but because people, when you meet certain people at certain points in your life, right, they are probably okay for you at that point, but you have different growth trajectories, right? So I'm probably growing at, a faster speed, and you're growing at a slower speed, right? It means we will grow apart, right? And also the mindset. Some people have a small mindset. Some other people have a big picture mindset, right? So for those of us who have the big picture mindset, who are ambitious, right? If you're with somebody who is not as ambitious, it feels like, oh, don't reach for the stars, you might fall. Don't, shoot too far. A lot of people project their fears because they cannot go for those things. They don't push for very big things because of the fear of failure. So they are scared for you that you might fail. But I like to say this: if I try, I may fail. But if I don't, I have failed. So not
Right.
invented, nothing gained, right? So even if you fail, right, failure is not the end. Failure is not a bad thing. Failure is just, finding out that this thing is not going to work and you can always pick yourself and try something else, right? So a lot of people do not want to try things. A lot of people do not want to chase certain dreams because they are scared of failing. And I'm putting this out there, right? Never be scared to chase your dreams, right? Even if you fail, you will always find, other ways to get things done and to succeed at things. So I'm grateful. This is episode 56, right? I wouldn't have met you, right? I would have interviewed a lot of the great people I've been able to interview over the course of the lifespan of this podcast if I had listened to that person. So, and there are a lot of people out there who listen to people that are close to them, right? When they're trying to chase their dreams, they just stop. You shouldn't do that, right? If you're convinced, about something, you should always go for it. And it's always good to have people that, encourage you.
I'm a big believer in the power in your mind and manifestation.
Mm-hmm.
For anybody that doesn't feel like they can make that jump or they're too scared, I just want you guys to know you can change your mind in one night. It doesn't take a long time to change your mindset. You can read these books or watch some TED Talks or watch your most influential person on Instagram. A lot of people say don't scroll on Instagram and stuff like that. I don't really do that, but like there are some people that I feel like that are very informational, and I like to watch their motivational videos. And if you're one of those people that's scared to make that jump, you sit there in a dark room and you know what you want. If you know what you want, you watch some motivational videos, and you think real hard, and just know that the power in your mind can move mountains, man. Manifestation is everything, and I feel like I'm living proof of it. And don't be scared to make that jump. You can change your mind overnight. Just gotta make your mind powerful enough. It's about your internal dialogue. You know what I mean? That self belief, that talking to yourself. And I guarantee you that next day you're gonna come out like a new person, and just go after it, you know? Um, the person that you wanna be, you have to do the things that they do to be that person. So when I picture myself being a professional athlete, a fighter, I picture somebody going to the gym. I picture somebody eating right. I picture somebody, doing all the right things. And so that's what I do, and you can do it too. Everything's possible. It all starts with your mind. Everything starts with your mind. This is just like, we're a vessel, you know what I mean? Our mind's controlling all this stuff. So as long as we're keeping our brain strong, you might not think too much about your body and stuff, but I know you're smart out there, man. So use your brain right.
Wow, use your brain. And I love it when, the mental part, has a sync with the physical part that helps human beings to achieve peak performance, in any field of endeavor. When your mind is sharp and your body is sharp, like, yeah, there's no limit to what you can achieve as a human being, but the mind is very, very, very powerful. A very, very big, would I say, testimony, yeah, of the power of the mind. Yeah, and I've been able to do a lot of things that I probably would have been scared of doing or thought I wouldn't be able to achieve. But if I put my mind to it, I'll get it done. I just
Of
need to put
course.
my mind. I just need to put my mind to it. So, speaking of power slap, right? We talked about the massive evolution, the massive potential, the massive achievements you've had in just 22 months, right? That is the credential that we can see now. I believe in potential over credential, right? Especially when there is a clear-cut trend, a clear-cut trajectory, right? Given the data we've been able to observe within the past 22 months, right? Where do you see Power Slap going in the next 5 years? And what role do you hope to play in the evolution of the sport?
You know, season three being the latest season that just came out for Power Slap, the sport is so young, but I think it's already evolved so much from the very beginning. You know what I mean? There's the original pioneers. Yeah, I'm a pioneer, but I'm like a new generation of pioneer, if that makes sense. I use the term for this for other fighters around me. We are the first new generation, season three. And why I say that is because a lot of us were fighters beforehand. Professional fighters, bare knuckle boxing, doing Muay Thai, people signing Bellator and ONE FC, black belts in jiu-jitsu, and you know, before there was like I'm not trying to talk down on anybody, but they just kind of had like random people, you know what I mean, that ended up being really well at it, that weren't really fighters. But now I think the evolution of the sport is like, okay, well, now we're grabbing professional athletes from these fighting sports. Now we're not just grabbing like random people. We're grabbing people that are bodybuilders. We are grabbing people from bare knuckle boxing. We are grabbing people from like they're grabbing professional athletes. You know what I mean? They're not just grabbing anybody now. And so being the first generation from our technique to our backgrounds, we are the first new generation in Power Slap, and that's season three. I think we're the best season. I think we stand out, and yeah, man, season three, baby, let's go. That was a dog ass season, man.
Shout out to season 3 of Power Slap. And of course, I think the only way is up for Power Slap. I'm not going to lie, like when it started, I did not like it. Just to
Yeah,
put it, just to put it nice.
you know what? I didn't put too much thought about it. I didn't put too much thought into it either. And guess what? I ended up doing it, and so just the numbers don't lie. You know what I mean? If something keeps growing, then more people are going to keep seeing it. And it just being so young, I can't wait to see what it's like when my kid's like 10. Like when followers say you got like 22 followers, right? What's your following going to be in like 5 years? You know what I mean? Like where do you picture your following in 5 years? You know what I mean? You probably picture it
uh,
massive, right?
Massive.
Imagine what Dana White pictures for Power Slap. You know what I mean?
Dana White is passionate about Power Slap, and I think that is the reason, the number one reason why it's going to grow beyond bounds. Like he's maniac level passionate about it, and I like that. I like that for the sport. Dana is a genius. He's one of the, what I say, me being a finance guy, right? Also, being a business guy, I think he's one of the biggest and the brightest business leaders of our generation. But I think he's not giving his flowers as much as he should. I don't know.
You know what? I will say
he's not.
one
He's
thing
not.
about Dana White I want to share is that I'm so grateful because even though like it's I don't shy away from this. So first off, like I said, shout out to Dana White, shout out to Erica and Frank and Joy Varner and Tobias and just so many different people. But even after I won, like I won my first fight and they were handing me all these different checks and I was like, oh my goodness. They all had all kinds of zeros on them. You know what I mean? I got like three different checks. I was like, what the hell
With
is this? You know what I
numbers.
mean? Yeah. And then I did my second fight and I lost, and I was like, oh man, like I'm not gonna like get as much as I did, but it's cool. And guess what? They handed me the same amount. You know what I mean? So they paid me as if I won for that second match. So when people call Dana Uncle Dana, it's because he takes care of his fighters, And so big shout out to them. They didn't have to, give me a bonus or anything like that. So it was really cool just to, receive some extra money and that benefits me and my little boys. So I'm forever grateful.
Wow. Wow. Shout out to Uncle Dana. He does a really, really great job, but a lot of people out there who really don't know what's happening on the inside tend to try to criticize him, saying, oh, he's cutthroat, he's not looking after the fighters are not earning as much as they should. Like, you don't understand what goes into organizing these kind of events, right? He is running an organization, basically, not just a promotion that you have in what's it called, in boxing, for example. He's not organizing one-off events. He's running an organization that is sustainable, right? And if something is to be sustainable, right, you need to be principled, and you need to ensure that things are working properly. And for things to work properly, right, you need to ensure that every stakeholder is well taken care of. So a lot of people just think about, oh, what's the revenue? What's the gates? What's the pay-per-view buys, right? They don't realize that a lot goes into the logistics, into the quality of the production, into the staff, right? You have access to the PI, right? You have athlete hotels, accommodations, you have diet and
People don't
nutrition,
even think about this, but
physio.
catering, you know what I mean?
Like
Like catering, and then the catering for the producers. You know what I mean? It's like
yeah,
it's
it's
craziness,
it's
man.
it's it's, it's massive, right? But people
And
just think,
and
oh, this guy should earn
what's
more.
what's really cool, as massive as it is, the producers feel like have like a very family vibe to them,
Oh
and
wow.
they're very kind, and it's really cool. It's really cool. They're awesome people, all of them.
Yeah, and I think one thing I really like is, how big they are on, giving the athletes the best medical team to work with. It's really, really great.
And talking about medical, I just want to shout out Panda that did everybody's
Wow.
bodies.
JJ
She
Panda
helped everybody's
Hernandez.
body get to peak shape, and she really helped us out. And big shout out to her helping everybody on Power Slap Road to the title season 3. So
The
thank you
best
very
physio in the
much,
world. That's
dude. She
the
helped
world's best
tremendously, bro.
physio.
Yeah,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah.
She's amazing. And honestly, when the UFC and Power Slap brought her and just like some other professionals, I just knew that, we're in the right place. Like we're being taken care of, you know what I mean? Like there's people that were had injuries and stuff, and she was able to really help them out. And even for me, it was just good to whatever she did to me, you know what I mean, straightening like my body out and stuff like that. It helped out a lot, because a lot of us were going through like a lot in there, man. We're stuck in there without our phones. We can't talk to our family. We've been working out for a month straight. You know what I mean? So to have somebody to come in there and work on our body like Panda, it helped out tremendously. And I hope that they continue to work with her like forever.
Oh wow, fantastic. Once again, shout out to Cindy Panda Hernandez. Whoa. So, if you could face off with any historical figure from the world of combat sports, right, in a power slap match, who would it be and why?
You know what? This is gonna be a bit of a call out, honestly. The only person that I actually want to stand in front of is another person in my weight class. His name is Stevie Ray Ellis. He's also known to be a bit of a psychotic person in our weight class, and you know, honestly. Stevie Ray Ellis, I'd love to fight you. I think my energy and you know you coming in with your energy, we'd make a pretty big car crash. You know what I mean? So I want to fight you. I don't think that you want the fight like how you say you want it. I don't think you're gonna show up in Vegas like how I am. And yeah, man, this isn't the WWE. People are gonna get fucking hurt, and I want to hurt you. I'm not your friend, so you're the only
Whoa.
person that I want to stand in front of. And I
Whoa.
think you're a bit of a fake too. I'm gonna send you into retirement. You know, I know you're in your late 30s, and I'd love to, you know, send you home with a bang, bro. And no worries, you know, I'll buy you lunch or something, you know, whatever after. I'm gonna stand over that motherfucker like Muhammad Ali, though.
Whoa. That is a massive call out. Whoa. We are going to tag him on this one. We are going to put this out and tag him on this one. This call out is going to be massive. Whoa.
Hope so.
So for you, like, what's a surprising fact about you that, people generally don't know about?
I mean, I'm a bit of a nerd. Honestly, people can't really tell like off the surface because I, you know, post a lot of like athletic stuff, but you know, I play like RPG games and like I'll play like a game called DayZ, and honestly, like I love just like sitting like I don't have a lot of time ever. Like I work 16 hours today, you know, but like I just love kind of watching pro wrestling and you know I'm still a fan of the UFC and just sitting there and kind of nerding out and playing my games and talking to people. I'm a normal guy just like everybody else. Nothing too not normal that unknown about me. I've always been an open book, but if there's anything people that don't see on the surface, it's just I just you know I'm a bit of a nerd, honestly.
So if you weren't a fighter, what would you be?
I love cooking, so maybe
Wow,
I'd be a
chef.
chef.
Chef. Speaking of the UFC, right? John Jones just fought Stipe, and in the co-main event, it was Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler. Like, what do you think about UFC 309?
You know that John Jones and Stipe matchup. I think that was a bit of a mismatch. Honestly, it wasn't, but it was. You know, I'd like to see him fight. You know, your boy Tom Aspinall. Love to
Whoa.
see that.
Tom
Michael
Aspinall.
Chandler. Michael Chandler is crazy, man. He's fun to watch. And Charles Oliveira, you know, I'm glad that he won. Nobody ever wants to see Charles lose.
Yes, like, and I'm such a very, very big fan of Charles Oliveira, and being a student of the sport, recently I have been able to review his body of work in MMA, and I think he's had this really, really long career. Remember, he came from 145, you know, then moved up to 155. His very first fight in the UFC was a submission victory. Charles Oliveira has the record of the most submissions in the UFC, regardless of weight class. The most submissions in the UFC, right? Charles Oliveira has the record for the most finishes at lightweight. Charles Oliveira has the record for the most bonuses. He's the one who's made the most bonuses. He has made over $1 million in bonuses in the UFC.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
And this guy is a former champion, right? And he's still a very, very legitimate title contender right now. So think about that. I think people just think about, some earlier part of his career wherein he took some losses and they feel like, oh, he gave up on himself, he got injured,
And that's
mid-fight,
motivating. You know what I
right?
mean? Seeing
Oh, for me,
somebody
it's
take a loss.
motivating. Yes,
Right.
coming back.
To take a loss and come back from it. Because when you take a loss, a lot of people, you know, write you off. And I've
Hmm.
gotten so many hate messages you know, people are messaging me to like kill myself and things like that. And that they don't even know me. You know what I mean? It's crazy to me that people are texting me that. And it's like a lot of people, which is insane, you know, but like, seeing somebody that lost and come back to be a champion, that's inspiring. You know, uh, this is a really cool, not transition, but comparison. But Charles Oliveira and Israel El Perro Rodriguez from Power Slap, you know, Rodriguez, he got knocked out on his second match, I believe, and now he's fighting for like title contentions, and he's one of the most respected Power Slap fighters. So shout out to him. He's from California. Shout out to all my Mexicans, man. Viva la raza. It's inspiring to see people bounce back from losses like that. Charles Oliveira, Ezeal Rodriguez, and next, Rayden Bombardier.
Whoa, fantastic, fantastic, man. The future is bright. The future is bright for you, my bro. UFC 310. That's
I'll be
coming
there.
soon. Yeah, and of course you are going to be there. What fight are you excited for in UFC 310?
There's just so many fighters that I know from on the card. Not like I know personally, but like I watched growing up and stuff. So it's gonna be really cool just to see all those fighters. And I'm gonna be training, of course, for my matchup potentially at the UFC PI and at the Apex and stuff. So I'm gonna see all those people there. And then I'll get to watch them fight. So it's gonna be an awesome experience. I got other like in person podcasts set up over there. I got business dinners. I got bowling business things going on, and just like I'm excited for Vegas. I'm excited to, dude. Power Slap is gonna be insane, and then to go to UFC 310 the next day. Oh my
Whoa,
God, bro.
master, that's overwhelming.
What the heck? What the
Whoa,
heck?
you're living the life, bro.
I just I just want to say I will be if there's any fans that want to come up and talk to me, please come up and talk to me. I'm going to be wearing my Power Slap stuff. I'm going to be having these on me. You see this? It's got my signature. It's got my slap print on it. I got different ones. Feel me? Well, this is one with Neil. I'm going to be you know, handing out some autographs and stuff to some fans. Of course, I had to, pay money for these. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna be kind of like just reselling them out, but not to make any money, but just to like, just give them out to people. You know what I mean? I thought it'd be real cool, so I invested some money and got some photos done, and I wanna hand them out to some fans that maybe want to buy them for or whatnot, and or maybe just there's also a hell of people that like fans and stuff that I've texted over time. Like shout out to Slap Son, the Petty Corner, Beyond the Slap, Slap News, Brother Your Podcast, you know what I mean? Outlet to Reality. I got so many people that I've worked with. How the Howl Over Bays podcast, shout out to them. They're amazing too. And like you guys, like I'm gonna send these to you guys for free. You know what I mean? Because like we work with each other and stuff. I'll send you one for sure.
Wow,
And
thank
like
you. That's
these,
nice.
yeah, brother, I got you, man. But these, I figured it'd be real cool to walk around the Power Slap event before it starts, and just to kind of like, hand out some of those. And I got my bag from that I bought in Las Vegas, man. This shit's fire. You know what I'm saying? I got
Oh,
this when
that's a fish.
it goes hard.
Whoa. Las Vegas is calling. UFC 310, the main card. Let's get your predictions.
One.
There we go. So before I let you run away, uh, UFC 310, the main card. Should I start from the bottom or should I start from the top?
Start from the bottom.
Okay. So at the bottom of the main card, we have Nate's The Train. That's Nate's Landwehr versus Troy Duho.
Dude, that's a dope fight, man. That is a really dope fight. I didn't see Duho Choi's last fight, but I think Duho might be able to win that fight. Nate the Train's not the cleanest fighter, but he's really exciting to watch. Dude, I'm so excited to go to 310 and watch this dude. If you guys haven't gotten tickets and you guys are in the area, bro, you guys got to go.
Hmm.
Only cost me around $100 or something like that.
Oh, really? Wow. So the
Yep.
tickets are quite cheap, when it comes to the US, but in the UK, I guess just because we don't have many events, it's usually quite
Well,
expensive and sold
another
out.
thing that people do is a lot of people are buying like resold tickets, but if you go to the website when they release the tickets, it really doesn't cost too much. You know what I mean?
It gets sold
Like
out in a matter of seconds in the UK.
oh,
Yeah,
for
so the
you, yeah,
UK.
for sure.
It, it gets sold out, and
That's
you can have
crazy.
access. It's crazy. Wow. So you think Duho Choi gets this one?
Yeah, I'd say so, but I like Nate a lot. Nate's cool.
Okay. So up next we've got Bryce Mitchell versus Kron Gracie.
Bryce Mitchell.
Kron Gracie, like why is he coming back into MMA again? I really don't get it.
He's entertaining to watch. I'm not gonna lie. He's got some attitude on him, so I like him.
The Chichite, his last fight wasn't like really impressive. So I don't know if the layoff is, going to affect him.
I think what makes all these fighters not only their fighting skills, but just like their life, you know what I mean, is what's so interesting about them. So it's really cool to see these past two matchups that you just said, like they're all so completely different. Like Cron Gracie and Bryce Mitchell are like completely polar opposites, if you wanted to put it that way. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? So like that's a really cool matchup.
Let's see. And of course, we've got Cyril Gane versus Alexander Volkov.
That's crazy. That's actually a really good fight. Oh man. I have no idea who's gonna win that fight, but that's cool, man. See, like they got all these they got some names on this card, man. They got some names.
But mind you, Cyril Gane fought Volkov, I think probably about 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, and Cyril Gane won the first fight. So I
It
don't
was
know
a
if
5 round fight, though, wasn't it?
I think so. I think so. I
It
can't
was,
declare
but this
firm.
one's a 3 round fight, so
Yeah,
that will
this
change it exponentially.
yeah, this one is 3 rounds, and Volkov has been on a tear lately. He's been on this massive tear, so I really don't know. Cyril Gane has been out for a while.
And you know, Volkov's been doing stuff with Power Slap too. He was in
Uh,
Dumpling's corner. Do you know who Dumpling is? Dumpling is the guy that just he's the reason why Power Slap started. He just got into the Power Slap somehow recently. I thought you would think that he would be in it before, but he just got into it recently. He
oh,
just
that very
main
big guy.
evented.
Yeah.
There's that big guy with the beard. He fought
Yeah,
the
yeah.
other big Russian dude, but he had Alexander Volkov in his corner,
Wow.
and they were like
Wow.
posting videos together and stuff.
That's massive. For this one, who do you think is gonna win?
I like Volkov. I really don't know who's gonna win this one. I can't really. I'm not too sure, but you know, I'm just gonna go with Volkov because I like Volkov. I want him to win. I like Gon a lot too, but you know, I'm a fan of Volkov. Yeah.
Okay, we'll go with Volkov. Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Ian Machado Gary. Whoa.
Chakmat, of course.
No, I'm going with my UK boy. I'm going with Ian Gary. He's
I
Irish
I
like me.
I just heard that. I just heard that Chakmat was beating him up in training,
Sparring is different. Sparring is
but
different from
obviously
actually
I'm
fighting.
not there. But I heard he got choked out multiple times too. Grappling is not different.
Whoa, that's crazy. But then, there's this theme with the Irish. I love the Irish. They have this fighting spirit. So, and
Yeah, no, he's
yeah.
awesome. I like Ian Gary a lot. I like his fighting style. He's cool. I think Rakhmedov. I just think he's gonna win.
Yeah,
He's
but
probably gonna fight for a title.
I feel like Rachmanov is showing Ian some level of disrespect, right? And undermining him. When you undermine somebody because you feel like, okay, I have, been there, done that with you, right? I know I am levels above you, but never underestimate a man that's got a lot of heart, right? That's, the Irish culture. I was in Ireland recently, I was in Dublin, right? And, I was able to interact with quite a number of Irish guys, right? Even the current super featherweight champion of the world in boxing, he's Irish as well, right? I did meet him, in Ireland. So these guys, they had this really, really great fighting spirit. I've had quite a number of Irish guys as well, maybe from Bellator, from Cage Warriors on my podcast as well, right? You see that guy in the PFL who fought
They have charisma, that's for sure.
yeah, like they are guys that would perform when they are the underdogs. They would always perform as underdogs. So I feel like if I'm putting my money, I'm going to put my money on Ian Gary.
I think, yeah, it'll be a good fight for sure. They're gonna be exchanging. Somebody's gonna get caught.
Somebody's O has to go.
True.
Somebody's O has to go. It's crazy. Two undefeated fighters, right? It's crazy, but I think you are leaning towards Shavkat. I am leaning towards Ian Gary. In the main event, we have Alexander Pantoja versus Kai Asa.
I don't really know too much about Kai, honestly. I know he's coming from, I
One,
think, one championship.
yeah, one championship, yes.
I heard he's like the best person to make a debut so far. So I'm excited just to go into that. Well, first off, flyweights are always crazy fights, honestly.
Hmm.
I mean, they're small, but they go
Yeah,
crazy. They're fast as hell.
very fast.
It's gonna be exciting just because I don't know too much about that guy. He might stomp Pantoja, who knows? Or Pantoja might stomp him. I have no idea. But if I had to lean towards anybody, I'd lean towards Pantoja. Just based off of the amount of diversity that he's around. Like he's around a lot of different fighting companies. I'm sure he's grappling and fighting with a bunch of different people, not just in his team. I'm sure the same for the other guys. So who knows?
I think
It's
I
gonna
lean
be fun though.
towards Kai.
I'm gonna be in the stands like, oh.
I think I lean towards Kai Asakura, to be honest, right? I did
I
see,
don't know him enough, but yeah, we'll see. Hopefully.
yeah, the guy is good. His grappling is really, really good. Grappling, wrestling,
Oh,
well,
nice.
yeah, and his striking is quite decent. He was a bantamweight champion in a ONE MC, so he's moving down to flyweight here in the UFC. So the guy is very good. But the bad thing is, in the Western world, we don't get to see a lot of the footage from ONE FC because ONE FC is big in Asia, right? But they have a lot of massive talents. Look at DJ Demetrius Johnson when he moved from the UFC to ONE FC. People really weren't watching his fights any longer in the US, the UK, but in Asia, trust me, they're very big and they've got massive talent. So I think he's got the edge in this one, and he's training with Merab Dvalishvili, the
Mm.
current bantamweight champion.
Oh, nice. That'd be cool.
Yeah, so I think when you train with certain people, it elevates your game. And that's one thing I saw with Bilal Mohammed, and I was, always supporting Bilal even when people were doubting him. I knew he was going to beat Leon Edwards. I did put my money on Bilal to win, and it was good money because
I think I'll put some money on some people when I go to Vegas. I've never done that before, but I think I'll do it.
okay, gamble responsibly.
Yeah,
Don't go
for
over the
real.
top. Know when to stop.
Never done it before, so it's a good
Well,
thing to try, I guess, right?
okay, interesting stuff. Okay, man, I am very, very grateful to have had you on the podcast today. Thank you very much for your time. It's been really, really, inspiring, entertaining, motivating. Speaking with you today, it's been a wonderful time. Never a dull moment. Thank you very much. And of course, before you leave, do you want to leave any more shout outs before you leave?
I just want to shout out to my mother and my son and my girlfriend. I love you all. Thank you very much for supporting me and motivating me every day. And Christmas time's coming. So, hopefully, Merry Christmas to everybody or whatever, you guys, happy holidays and happy Thanksgiving to you, sir. And yeah, man, get to work, guys.
Thank you very much once again.